Sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion.
Welcome to the Perfect Movie Podcast, the podcast that hopes you're just as committed to sparkle motion as we are. I'm Michael.
I don't understand that reference.
That's what the mom says because she needs to protect the pedophile who just got arrested, so she can't take the dance crew on the trip that Donnie's mom ends up going. Oh. And she says, "I'm starting to think you're not as committed to sparkle motion as
this
me."
Motherfucker just remembers the most random quotes.
I feel like that's
I definitely.
You remember that? I don't recall that one.
That's a primary line from Donnie Darko.
Fuck it. I'm Kalen. Hello.
I'm Dakota, and we're just getting right into it today.
And today, we're going to cover Freaky Bunnies, Predestination, and maybe even 9/11 on this episode's of Triple D. Donnie, Darko, and Dakota.
Oh my God.
Welcome to Flavortown.
I'm glad to be here. God, what a horny movie.
Actually, though.
Absolutely horny movie. Gotta love it.
Striking.
Just gets you right in the mood for seeing things and talking to 6-foot-tall rabbits and touching yourself in hypnosis, man.
And time travel.
So, this is part of our Halloween series where we're doing not quite horror movies, but things with Spooktober vibes. Last week we did Harry Potter. Today's Donnie Darko. We'll move on to do Sweeney Todd and Pan's Labyrinth later this month. This story is entirely set in October, which just feels... I didn't even realize that when we chose it, and I was like, we did good. Good for us.
That was perfect. Yeah, I started watching it on October 3rd. And so, scene opens on October 2nd. I'm like, ooh, 24 hours and we're here.
But they also did the thing where, they filmed this all in California. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really feel like fall. I don't know. It was that's one thing I wish about this movie. It was, set in, the Midwest or something. But, yeah.
Fun fact. The movie lasts 28 days. Filming also took 28 days.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. That's a fun fact.
It's like time travel.
It's super spooky. In Spooktober.
And then the other maybe spooky thing about this movie, and we're just going to get right to 9/11. So, this movie was released in October of 2001. This movie about a jet engine that crashes into a
falls
building.
Out of the sky, yeah.
And
That's
forever
crazy.
alters the future. Was released in October of 2001 and flopped. And maybe that's why,
Bold move. Move.
People were not in the mood to watch such a plane-related film.
They're writing the script back in late August, early September. 9/11 happens, and they're like, well, shit, there's no turning back now.
Any movie during this time that filmed before 9/11 and that involved buildings or planes, after that shit, everybody's like, fuck. I remember it was Spider-Man 2002 on the poster, they had to remove the Twin Towers. And then the two towers for the Lord of the Rings, they almost didn't name it that. They almost changed the name of that movie.
That also released in 2001,
2001,
right?
I think, or 2002, right after though. But.
And you have the little red circle around it in your conspiracy video. Coincidence?
It's like the Terminator 2 thing where there's the little sign that says "Caution 9/11" or something on it.
It's there's no way these guys can be that cynical.
They knew.
Inside job.
So maybe history of Donnie Darko for us. Coda, what's your history with the movie Donnie Darko?
I saw the movie for the first time maybe, I'd say, back in college. Couldn't pinpoint an exact time. Remember watching it. Didn't exactly stand out to me. From what I recall, it was good. Watched it again about a year ago or so. And it's not something that I'll bring up in a normal day-to-day conversation about, oh wow, this is a great thriller movie if you're into weird shit. But it's all right.
Kalen?
I remember watching this movie for the first time on television. I think I had to be in like middle school. And I was at a friend's house, and you know how they just play some of these films like late or whatever. And I watched it, and I was like, this is weird as fuck, and I don't get it. And I was also in middle school, so I mean, it's understandable. But I still kind of feel the same way. Like, it's interesting, and they do some interesting stuff, and there's some really great cinematography. But it didn't really land for me, I would say.
Yeah, I'd only known it from like posters and the general like pop culture of I know this character named Donnie Darko. I watched it, I think, for the first time.
Like
the bunny face. Yeah, you'll always be able to pick that out.
And the poster is too. The poster that has like the bunny's outline and then Donnie kind of doing his little Kubrick smile through it. I'd watched Donnie Darko, I think, for the first time like a year or two ago, like pretty late in life. I'd never seen it. Same. I'm like, this is weird. This is interesting. This is an interesting vibe. Interesting time capsule of like attitudes of like this late 90s, early 2000s. Like,
So it was set, what, in 1988?
Yes, because it's
mad 80s vibes, but also
during the
mad 2000 vibes.
Yeah, for sure.
And just the sort of like suburban decay is kind of I feel like a theme of this film. So I enjoyed that. I watched it again for this podcast. I think it worked for me less than the first time, but I don't know if that's necessarily a valid criticism of this movie, because this is a movie that has like a trick up its sleeve that's going to pull out at the end of the movie, and you either like it or you don't.
Yeah, kind of like I was saying before. I was watching the movie, thought it was super good, having seen it before. Kind of forgot how it ended, and then halfway through when I remembered how it ended, I'm like, God, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah. It's also kind of just like depressing, especially when you think about like the mental health aspect from Donnie's character. Yeah, it's like this kid is suffering the entire film.
Yeah,
and it's kind of uncomfortable. But I mean,
real quick, did you watch the director's cut or did you watch the standard one?
I think I watched the standard. I know there's like a few scenes that are changed, like the one that when he's in the movie theater and then Frank shows up.
Yeah,
the dialogue is different, right?
I have no clue what the differences are, but I watched the director's cut. So did you, Michael?
Yeah. The key is, did they have any interstitials with the images of chapters from the book, like passages from the book,
the time travel
book? Because if there's that was like the main difference. It has a lot of lore that it just kind of puts on screen.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll say chapter 4 and it'll say talk about the traveler, like the interceptor.
I don't remember that, so I'm pretty sure I watched the standard version.
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, I was kind of reading into what the differences were, and somewhere I did read that it said the director's cut kind of makes the ending more ambiguous.
Okay.
And kind of more up to interpretation, but I just don't. I don't know.
What are you supposed to be interpreting? That's the question.
You want to hear something crazy? Is Donnie Darko Jesus?
I mean, that's what it is.
Well, that's
He's a depressed kind of messiah.
Yeah.
He's like the poster boy for emo boys everywhere.
Yeah.
This is a movie that is very like post-Columbine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think is certainly one of those movies that's fallen into the trap of like being embraced by the wrong people, along with like Fight Club, The Joker,
The Crow,
those type of movies that were like edgy dudes in their basement are like, this is the one. This one speaks to me.
Yeah.
It does still speak to me. Maybe it's just this white boy depression that is like very specific to being a suburban white. I don't know.
Or it could also just be kind of guy depression in general. I think a lot of people can kind of relate to that character.
But it's certainly, I think the thing that's more up to interpretation, and I want to say it's the opposite. I don't know what Coda read. In my opinion, I think it would be the opposite because the director's cut adds all the extra lore that kind of expands the sort of science fiction-y / spiritual aspect of like how the time travel works.
Yeah.
And the original cut doesn't have those entries from the book, and among other things. But I mean, I think it's mostly the question of like, what happened here? What is the
Yeah.
what was this destiny? Was this choices made by Darko? You know,
Yeah,
and
it's
then-
like the question of free will, whether he had that or not,
yeah.
kind of thing.
Well, so yeah, I mean the ending, real confusing. So essentially, how I understood it is that he traveled back in time to then be killed by the fallen jet engine.
Absolutely, that's
But,
what
like,
happened.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah,
it was
it's-
more of like a multiverse thing. Like
No,
a
so it's like-
parallel reality kind
It's
of.
kind of like Frank, it like takes him out of his room in that first situation, right? And says, this is a time that the sky is going to tear apart or whatever. So essentially, in how I interpreted it as, is on that day he drove out to said location, sky tore open, he saw the jet engine fall down that funnel in the sky, and wherever the hell he went, he then traveled back in time to stay in the room and die. So he essentially sacrifices himself for everybody around him, like his girlfriend. Yeah, there you go. And he didn't rise up 3 days later.
No, he was done. With that, can we get into the performance test where we talk about our favorite actor scenes, characters, and moments?
It was the performance of a lifetime!
The greatest.
Jake Gyllenhaal?
No, the racially ambiguous Chinese woman.
Shut up!
Shut up. I don't remember what her name is, but whatever it was, something Chang.
Her name was Cho Chang, like from Harry Potter. Cho Chang is crazy.
Yeah, hands down, best character.
Charita.
Charita.
It's crazy.
Brody? Hey, Sharita, you want a cigarette?
Shut up! Shut up!
Go back to China, bitch.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he's like one of those actors for me that I always forget about. But every time I see him, I'm like, he's a good actor. Have you ever seen Nightcrawler?
Nightcrawler is
It's
a
a
great
great film.
movie. Great.
Probably
movie.
his best performance, I would say.
Have you seen Prisoners?
Possibly.
That's the Hugh Jackman movie where there's somebody's kidnapped his daughter, I believe, and he's trying to figure out who it is, and Jake Gyllenhaal's like the detective on the case.
Oh.
And Hugh Jackman goes way off the rails and like
I think I've
kidnaps
seen that. Yeah.
kidnaps the man who thinks is responsible, who is like this mentally challenged person played.
Yeah,
And he like
that's
locks
like
him.
a 3-hour-long movie,
And
or
it's
whatever.
so dreary,
Yeah.
and Jake Gyllenhaal, like his lane, and this is young Jake Gyllenhaal. And I think the first movie I saw him in, which I believe predates this, is October Sky. Have you ever seen October Sky? It's a movie. It's like a real like family movie about boys that are this boy that is very talented, but he's in a like coal mining town. And it's like, son, you're gonna be in the mines like your daddy.
You got no future but the dust.
But Laura Dern is his teacher who recognizes his talent and is trying to like get him to like, and he eventually becomes like a NASA engineer.
I thought you were gonna say NASCAR.
And October Sky is an anagram for Rocket Boys because he spends a bunch of time shooting off rockets. And he's very like wholesome teenager. And then I feel like Donnie Darko is the turn where it's like every Gyllenhaal character after that is slimy. And kind of like, you're like, what is up with this
It's
guy?
kind of a weirdo.
Yeah,
When you said
he's a gritty
October
guy.
Sky, I'd like pictured the movie Red Dawn for a minute. And I just pictured like a bunch of Koreans coming out of the sky. Have you seen Brokeback Mountain?
No.
Also Jake Gyllenhaal.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
I know one line from that movie.
Go for it. Let me hear.
Why can't I quit you? Yeah, that movie's not up my alley. I don't think that
Not up
that
your
movie.
ass?
Not up my ass. Not up my alley. But talking about movies and their target audiences, Brokeback Mountain and Donnie Darko, I think both missed their target audiences by a mile.
Yeah, but Jake Gyllenhaal, he carries this movie on his back. Like that's the whole task.
He definitely does. I mean, Drew Barrymore, she's great.
Yeah.
I mean, just like her drive as a teacher and everything like that. I mean, it's, probably relatable to somebody out there in the school system that's just trying to reach these children.
Yeah. Well, it's
Seth Rogen makes an appearance.
That is Seth Rogen's first movie.
First movie.
First movie.
you know what his first line is?
I like your boobs.
Like your boobs or something like that.
Something real Seth Rogen as they're ripping cigarettes.
This defines his whole career right there.
Yeah.
Like,
I like your boobs.
And I don't think he's been in a serious movie since.
I feel like there was something semi-recently.
I don't know if Seth Rogen's tried to do that turn like Jonah Hill did.
Or like Adam Sandler or something.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done that.
No.
Jonah Hill was just tired of people calling him fat.
He's like, I'm done making movies. I'm smoking gravity bombs the rest of my life.
He does have that line now of like glassware and like stoner supplies and stuff like that.
Was that Seth Rogen?
Yeah, it's like crazy expensive. It's
I'm
like
sure.
handcrafted, $250 for a little bowl.
Damn.
But they're beautiful.
Make your money, I guess.
So, funny story about Drew Barrymore. She kind of rescued this movie. So, originally, everybody that read, what is his name? I think it's Richard Kelly, the writer and director, his script. Everybody that read it was like, wow, this is great. We will not give you any money to make it. And then...
Yeah, Drew Barrymore pretty much like financially backed this movie.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore financially backed this movie after, and I need to look up this name real quick. So originally, Jake Gyllenhaal's role was supposed to go to Jason Schwartzman, who had just done Rushmore, a Wes Anderson movie. So he was kind of like big young man, teenager actor. And then Jason Schwartzman, for reasons, ended up leaving. And then all the like money fell through because Jason Schwartzman was like the one that was getting the backing and making this movie happen. And then Drew Barrymore got a hold of the script through her...
threw herself in it, and then also threw the money in it.
Yeah, and kind of rescued it from falling apart. And it's funny because Richard Kelly, while being feels like a director with like a really good vision, and like if this is your freshman debut feature film, like you've done really well. You could do a lot worse. Yeah. And then he just kind of never really he made this movie Southland Tales that stars The Rock that I've never seen but didn't do a lot. He made the movie The Box, and then he just like fell off the planet. He's like, what if Christopher Nolan didn't get Warner Brothers involved in his career? Right. You know, because he has this very high concept thing. Like you think Nolan starts with Memento. This is like some time warp psycho drama.
Yeah.
That's like really like maybe guilty of, as I've said about other movies, going far up its own ass. But it all like fits together.
And it can be compelling too.
Yeah. But yeah, Drew Barrymore kind of got this movie made, and is it somewhat of a bit part, depending on the cut you get. She's not in a massive amount of the film. In fact, she gets fired from the school that Donnie Darko attends at like the halfway point of the movie.
Right.
And proceeds to go outside and yell, "Fuck!" in front of
Chinita?
Chorizo. Chorizo. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Karen. This is a progressive school, but we don't feel the methods you've undertaken here are appropriate.
What exactly about my methods are inappropriate?
I am sorry that you have failed. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have another appointment. You can finish out the week.
Maggie Gyllenhaal is also in this.
She's lame.
She's
got no skill.
I mean,
not a fan.
I wasn't a big fan of her either, especially in like The Dark Knight. I thought she was like, I don't know why Bruce Wayne was like so into this chick.
Yeah, she stuck up in that movie.
And she was real mid. Just saying.
Well, she did get blowed up, so
yeah, I mean,
shows her right. You know,
shows her right for being mid.
Well, it's funny because the Gyllenhaals, they're siblings, and Jake got the role first, and then he got Maggie the role just so he could say, I got this for you, I did this, and like hold it over her the rest of his life. That's what he said.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Power play. Unreal. Dang, that's kind of screwed up.
Yeah. The real sibling rivalry shit. I don't know which one's older. I imagine he's the little brother.
I think Maggie's old.
She's 46, and he is 43.
Yeah, so that's real little brother power play. She was probably giving it to him, ages 8 through 14 or whatever. And he was like, "Fuck you."
I kickstarted your career.
Right. I mean, and as far as fuck yous, that's a pretty kindly fuck you.
Yeah, most definitely.
We have a cadre of other actors. Is there any other performances you really want to test on, or else I was going to talk about a couple scenes that stand out?
I do like the parents. I think they seem like parents. Like parents. Oh God, Patrick Swayze sucks.
He does.
Not only his role in the movie, but just him himself. He doesn't do anything for me.
I think he's perfect for that role.
So, reading about this, apparently that motivational video that they shot and showed in their gym class and stuff, all of the clothing, the set, and everything, that was just Patrick Swayze's personal closet, and they filmed it at his ranch that he owned, out in wherever the hell. He's just we can do this shot out at my ranch. He's like, let me get some clothes on real quick. That is apparently he frosted his tips for this movie, and that is the only thing that he changed. Otherwise, he just wore his casual clothes and was just stomping around doing fuck all.
I mean, you know what? Fuck it. Right? If I was Patrick Swayze, I'd do the same shit.
So we talked about the parents. I do love their dynamic because they do seem pretty your typical suburban parents.
Very average parents, yeah.
She, after Donnie Darko calls his mom a bitch early in the movie, she just walks in the bedroom and she says, "Frank, your son just called me a bitch." He's like, "You're not a bitch. You're bitching.
Yeah.
But you're not a bitch."
The parents that are I don't know. It's just they kind of let their children do what they want.
They care about them.
Care.
But yeah. It's one of the themes for me. It kind of was more or less aloof parents just sending their kid off to be drugged rather than dealing with
his issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's Donnie just goes missing in the night, and nobody seems really concerned about it. When he comes back in the house, it's "Where'd you go, Donnie?"
But also, that's some real 80s shit, though, too.
Yeah.
You think anybody cared where anybody was going in the 80s?
I don't know, because I feel if that was my parents, it'd be a conversation piece. You know what I'm saying?
We need to invite a 50-year-old on here and ask him how the 80s were.
Yeah,
I bet
the
you
80s did seem
him.
like a wild time. Bullies were just running rampant, apparently.
Yeah.
with knives and
drawing blades in bathrooms.
Writing, cutting their name into you and all types of shit. That's Stephen King's bullies from the 80s were always notoriously awful.
Putting them inside the chicken coop, all that kind of jazz. Oh, man. But yeah, one of the greatest scenes between the parents is when they're out for dinner and the wife looks at the husband and says, "I think I want a divorce." And then they both just laugh. They're like, "Oh, yeah, right."
Beth Grant as Kitty Farmer. She's the person that holds all the things that are wrong with suburban culture into one person. She's the teacher / PTA parent. She's the one that's we need to ban these books, this and that. And her character feels all the more relevant in the year 2024. Yeah. When you think this was made and she's banning books and she's
protecting child predators.
Yeah.
And
she doesn't want the critical race theory being taught.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing. She's a scary looking woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at her face right now. Holy.
And she is the one that says, "I just don't think you're that committed to Sparkle Motion." And it's ironic because if you really let's break it down. Because this movie has its little Miss Sunshine moment where we see the little dance crew. And if you break it down, so this woman is you cannot read these books with these certain themes in there, but I do want a bunch of 12 parade in front of a large audience and, dance and shake. That's my thing, and that's fine. But
pageantry is a truly odd thing.
Yeah,
but teenagers reading about the concept of sex, wrong.
Yeah,
bad. Reading about breaking into old people's homes.
Yeah,
bad.
Yeah,
but hey, I can't support Sparkle Motion because I have to support a child predator. So. Make it make sense to me.
James Duvall is does he plays Frank? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the man under Frank's mask. I don't know if he actually does the voice of Frank.
So
he must.
the scene in the movie theater when Frank kind of like shows up next to Donnie, that scene gave me chills. Like the music and then just the dialogue. I thought that was the best scene in the movie.
You know what movie they're watching?
Which one?
Evil Dead.
Oh yeah.
Why are you wearing that stupid bunny suit?
Why are you wearing that stupid man suit?
And Sam Raimi let them use that footage for free. It was supposed to be some other movie, and then they couldn't obtain rights to it. But then Sam Raimi came along and was like, yeah.
Sam Raimi.
Go ahead.
A friend of independent cinema everywhere.
Sam Raimi is that guy for sure.
Yeah,
he
but
just loves filmmaking.
the theater scene is great, and it's maybe the most iconic scene of the whole movie. Like, if there's one image you know from Donnie Darko, it's the girlfriend asleep in the middle, and then Donnie and the bunny, sitting next to each other having a conversation. It is chilling. I love kind of all the moments where Donnie kind of, meets up with the bunny, like the one.
How he switches over, head lowers, he gets that little smirk, and he's looking through his eyebrows.
Yeah.
And the one in the bathroom, which his little sister eventually interrupts, where he like finds the force field and he starts like pressing it with his hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal is pretty good at like emoting, like just making weird faces.
My favorite line delivery is when she says, I forget what and this might be just in the director's cut. I forget what the therapist asks, but she's like, blah, blah, blah about your childhood. And he goes, hungry, hungry hippos.
Oh, shit, what was it? How's your family or whatever? Like, are you happy with them? And he's like, wow, fuck, what was it?
I think he was like, I didn't get this gift at Christmas or whatever.
What didn't you get? What did you want?
Hungry, hungry, hungry hippos.
What did that make you feel? Regret.
I want to talk about your past today.
No.
I want to talk about you and your parents.
They didn't buy me what I wanted for Christmas.
What did you want for Christmas that year?
Hungry, hungry hippos.
How did you feel being denied these hungry, hungry hippos?
Regret.
What else makes you feel regret?
That I did it again.
You did it again?
I flooded my school and I burned down that pervert's house. I only have a few days left before they catch me.
Did Frank tell you to do these things?
I have to obey him. He saved my life. I have to obey him or I'll be left all alone. And then
he goes, what else made you feel regret? When I burned down those buildings or something like that.
He's like, I'm going to do it. He's like, I did it again. He gets all sassy and shit when he's he's under hypnosis. He's like, I think about fucking.
Which is an honest teenage boy thing. He's just
like, I think about fucking Christina Applegate in high school. It's all tweaky on it.
Him recovering from or under hypnosis is like when you wake up from, you've been under for surgery and you just start telling all your secrets, or you just like start saying sexual shit. Have you ever seen any of those videos?
Yeah, where like the dudes are like just zonked out. Yeah. They're saying some real sus stuff.
And maybe, so this is a movie that's about like time travel and destiny and sacrifice and mental illness, but it's also a movie that asks the question, does Smurfette fuck the gang?
Yes, she was putting out that with that Smurf puss.
Donnie would disagree with you. He had to set you straight.
Yeah, they're asexual, man. It's created in a lab.
Why do you think they got them antennas, man? You know what them are for.
Yep, Donnie Darko asking the important questions since 2001.
Asking the important questions.
Smurfette doesn't fuck.
That's bullshit. Smurfette fucks all the other Smurfs. Why do you think Papa Smurf made her? It's because all the other Smurfs were getting too horny.
No, not Vanity. I heard he was a homosexual.
Okay, well, you know what? Then she fucks them while Vanity watches, okay?
Well, what about Papa Smurf? I mean, he must get into the action.
Yeah, what he does, he films the gangbang. Later on, he beats off to the tape.
First of all, Papa Smurf didn't create Smurfette. Gargamel did. She was sent in as Gargamel's evil spy with the intention of destroying the Smurf village. But the overwhelming goodness of the Smurf way of life transformed her. And as for the whole gangbang scenario, it just couldn't happen. Smurfs are asexual. They don't even have reproductive organs under those little white pants. This was so illogical, you know, about being a Smurf. You know, what's the point of living if you don't have a dick?
Yeah, for a movie with all these like deep themes, it really is just kind of a wacky grab bag of weird comedy, like love,
it's a dark
and
comedy,
like it's
I think,
yeah, it's really hard to put it into what's the words I'm looking for?
You can't put it into like a genre.
Yeah,
like,
there's no categories.
It's hard to pin down
like that. Yeah,
because it does lean into like horror aspects, and then there's like it's thriller, and then also the comedy. It's like it's a teen rom-com basically. I don't know. It's bizarre.
And I was going to say, I disagree with your take on Patrick Swayze being awful. I think this is a great role for him because he's just like smarmy and fake. And I mean,
Patrick Swayze seems like that in real life.
Yeah. For sure. As Jim Cunningham, this like life coach that is kind of infecting this. All the like suburban housewives that day drink wine, they all are like on board with his videotapes, and they are he's just kind of infecting the community with this false bullshit.
Putting in emotions into a box, and it's either love or fear.
Yeah. And I think one of the better scenes of the movie is when Donnie's at that assembly, which I guess Richard Kelly said is from like his own childhood, where he had random assemblies in high school where like random motivational speakers. And I love his first question, which is the question I want to answer. It is, how much are they paying you to be here? But just the way he kind of breaks down. And I think that like his character, and that is like what people connect to and why this has become a cult classic, is him like poking this hole in this like suburban community and like the life that is surrounded, and how it's all just kind of like fraudulent and BS.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, this is not real. That MFer right there is not real. You know?
Let me tell you right now.
So I think that's what people connect to a lot, and that's what carries you through all the like weird sci-fi things about. And it's also like sci-fi spiritual, where it's kind of hard to tell, like, is this science or is this like religion?
Yeah. I'm glad it didn't do the trope of like, oh, it was all in Donnie's head the entire time. Or, you know, you show him in a mental asylum.
Like, but what if it was, though?
I mean, that's the thing, but it makes it ambiguous, where it's like you could interpret that any way you wanted to. It doesn't spell it out for you, and that's what I appreciated.
Do a Fight Club where he like takes off the bunny hat and it's also Jake Gyllenhaal under the bunny hat.
It's Brad Pitt,
shirtless, just oiled abs. Like,
so here's the scene that confused me at the end. I don't know if this was in the director's cut when they were showing everybody's faces and like all the characters after the jet engine did land on Donnie. They had a scene with Frank. And like he had the bunny mask and all these drawings and stuff, and he was just like chilling in his room. So is that supposed to just be like another like guy that was just in that suburban town area, or is he actually like the time traveler still living amongst them from the future, past, what you know? Yeah. Like it was really confusing.
Like I said, I think it is supposed to be up to like you said, it's supposed to be up to interpretation. But that was a struggle to get interpretation out of my mouth just then.
But yeah, because so like when Frank visits Donnie in the movie theater and takes off his mask, he's got the bullet hole in his eye, right? And then the next time they're at Grandma Death's house, and his girlfriend gets ran over, and then Frank's there, and he takes off his mask. no bullet in the eye, and then he gets a bullet in the eye.
Yeah.
Like it's just all.
It's very convoluted.
It is.
I mean, I think it's all supposed to bend in on itself, where
Yeah.
it's like the end is the beginning, the beginning is the end. Donnie, as it is literally, the end scene is like one of the beginning scenes.
Yep.
That is time, essentially. I mean,
And that, like, I don't know. The way I see it is like Donnie's just kind of infected by this whatever force that is driving him, compelling him to do this, and things around him are getting kind of like sucked into his psyche. So like Frank in the bunny suit, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's a movie you can't unwind.
You know,
Is Frank real?
You know, it would be interesting. Like this entity was just fucking with him the entire time. Like it just made up all this shit just to manipulate. And,
Frank is just some
cause
sick fuck.
Yeah, just cause the death of these people, and like it for whatever reason just feeds
Showing
off
him
of that.
either you can die or everybody close to you can die.
Yeah.
Twist like the end of what is the ghost hand movie called?
Talk to Me.
It's like the ending of Talk to Me.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
You never seen Talk to Me?
It's a really great horror movie. You should watch it this October.
You gotta watch it.
But so I don't want to spoil the ending now. But there's an entity and it's manipulating people. In this one, it's very spiritual. Basically, an entity is showing itself to be.
You never seen the trailer for like it's the kids are playing a game with like this hand, and they grab the hand and they say "Talk to me," and they like see spirits and stuff.
No, that sounds pretty damn good.
It's probably the best horror movie of last year. You should
For sure.
definitely check it out. Yeah, that's crazy. You got to watch that.
Put it on the list.
Yeah. We're still in the performance test, aren't we?
We are still in the performance test.
Let's move along.
Let's move on to It's an Art Bro, where we talk about the aspects of the filmmaking process, like sets, lighting, soundtrack, cinematography.
What's this?
It's an art project.
Okay, I like it. Picasso. Yeah, that way.
This is a very ugly movie.
It's hideous. It's so early 2000s.
It looks bad, but it has a charm
like
to it.
monochromatic, filmed on like a. There's no. I
very
really
flat.
didn't think
It's
there
very
was
flat.
anything in like the scenes, the colors, anything like that like meant anything.
Well, everything is kind of bathed in this like blue hue.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of adds to the film a little bit.
I mean, it makes things feel
there's
more
a charm
sad
to it.
almost,
Yeah,
like-
it's like a very melancholy kind of thing.
The only like visual stimulation or anything that it's kind of in the director's cut when they zoom in. I don't know if it's when they zoom in on his eye,
The
and then
eyeball
there's
things?
flash
Yeah.
imagery and stuff like that. And so I think that adds to it. But beyond that, I don't think that there's any true meanings in any of the scenery like that.
Weird parallel, but like the Matrix scenes that happen inside the Matrix at the start of the Matrix, where
Super
everything's
muted
where everything's
and
green.
green. Yep.
It's kind of like the sadness surrounding Donnie is like tinting the entire movie this bluish hue. It feels intentional, and it does feel very early 2000s because I was very in to be like, we're gonna desaturate
Everything's
everything.
muted. Yeah.
I think it's aged well, but it is not. I agree that it's not like cinematically like a super like it doesn't shine that way. In just like a shot by shot kind of setting.
But you know what does shine through? The
What?
world's greatest soundtrack.
Yeah.
So 80s. Phenomenal. Every song on there was an absolute jam.
I just think like I know some of the images like when I watched this as a kid. I mean, it stuck out to me. It disturbed me. There's like scenes that are just kind of weird and makes you feel a certain type of way, especially the ending because it's so dark and like your main character is dead apparently, and then it's like you kind of like have those feelings afterwards. Where it does change your chemistry a little bit.
But yeah, I can agree with that, but I still just don't think that there's a whole lot of like symbolism behind any of the colors or sets or like any of that.
Yeah.
But I think the way the ending is done and the way the story unfolds, you are not like set up for like this man has to make this sacrifice. Like you're not sure what is going to happen at the end, and then you just watch it happen.
He's just chilling, smiling, laughing, and then a jet engine comes rolling through.
And I do think a lot of the emotion is driven from like I love the song in the finale. It's called Mad World that plays over the end of it, and one of the main lines is like all my favorite dreams. I'm summarizing. This might not be exactly, but it's like all my favorite dreams are the ones which I am dead. And that's like That's the whole movie in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Right there.
This is just a sad boy movie.
It really is a sad boy movie.
Yeah. It's like Lil Peep's favorite movie. I don't know.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. But
R.I.P.
Sheesh.
That's just why Mikey loves it, though.
Yeah,
he's the
he's
sad
the
boy over
original
there.
sad
I
boy.
didn't.
OG sad boy.
I don't even think I'm the person that mentioned this movie as being. I don't know how we came up with this movie.
It does have that gothic kind of like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole reason we're doing
it's
this.
gritty.
I think I was
Halloween
going.
segment.
I think if it was my responsibility, I was going for the other flip of gothic. So we do Harry Potter, and that's like medieval fantasy gothic, and this is suburban gothic.
Yeah.
You know,
which is like such a weird kind of like genre, and I think there are a few other films like this.
Edward Scissorhands.
Yes, Edward Scissorhands, and
when was Edward Scissorhands? Was that 98 or something? 96?
I think it was way earlier.
It's like 86
that's
or 88.
Whoa,
that's a young Johnny Depp.
Whoa. Tim Burton, been a creep.
Been around a long time.
Been a creep, but he makes some fire films.
Good movies.
Yeah. No, I do like the setting, and I think that's what adds to the kind of the disturbing aspect of this film, because everybody thinks of suburbs, and you know it's the life that everybody kind of wants, you know, the picket fence,
American dream.
The American dream, and so when you twist that kind of and you make it like an eerie place. You know, that's why I think like having horror movies set in like a house that doesn't look like a fucking dilapidated building, like it makes it more effective. If you have just like some regular like suburban house and then there's a demon inside, like that's
terrifying.
Creepy because it relates. You know, and nobody's living in a fucking Victorian mansion.
Yeah. All those people on Summit Ave in St. Paul are.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a small minority.
How many horror movies have started with like a family moving into the like ugliest, most dilapidated house you've ever seen, and they're like, "Well, a fresh start.
Nothing can go wrong
They're
here."
Pulling off the dusty white sheets over the couch and everything.
There's a dead body in the basement. Well, fuck it. We're
the key
well.
doesn't work to the top door in the attic.
Nothing bad's up there.
Nope, nothing's definitely there.
Or that's why like the only like gripe I had about Evil Dead Rise was the apartment they were living in.
Yeah.
It was the shittiest fucking apartment ever. And it was like, who would live in a place like this? And it's like, that just adds, it's so spooky.
I don't know.
Like,
single mom, 2 kids. It could happen. It could happen.
But for your horror film, though, like.
So, Kalen, reality check. They did say that this is a place set for demolishment and they are about to move. And if this is what do you call it? Like, if this is when you buy an apartment, essentially. What is that called?
Buying?
No, but there's another word for it. But basically, if she owns, like you can buy a share of an apartment building.
Oh.
And if she like owns that spot, then it's a lot harder to up and leave.
Yeah, it's like a condo, basically.
Yeah,
You
a
take out
condo.
a mortgage.
A condo is what I'm saying. So if she had a condo situation there.
No, but I mean, when you specifically make your setting or your house spooky in order to make the film scarier,
it's a shortcut.
Yeah, it's cheap and it's not as effective.
And this is not a horror movie.
No.
At no point is it really horror. It's just depressing and gothic.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, nothing. No jump scares. I mean, some violence that could scare.
I think the thing that
some
scares
people.
me the most is like losing my mind.
Yeah.
And that's like you put yourself into Donnie's shoes and you make it like it's more of a mental health thing. And it's like a man slowly just kind of losing it. And this is a kid. He hasn't even reached his peak yet as a person. And, you know, and that's sad. That's really sad and scary.
Once he figures out that, in the director's cut, the therapist does tell Donnie that the pills are placebos and they're just water pills. And after that is when he goes up to his dad and is like, how does it feel to have a crazy son? Like, I'm crazy, da-da-da. And then he goes up to his mom, like, how does it feel to have a wacko for a son? Like, he's kind of more like, oh, shit, like, it's not the pills. It's not anything else except for me and my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a huge turn in the movie.
Yeah,
that makes it like,
sure.
that sucks.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, initially watching, I couldn't exactly remember the movie to a T, and so he's taking these pills, and I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, is this like a is this some themes on like the medical industry and stuff, and like just shoving lithium pills down people's throat, and now he's like experiencing these things because he's not, lucid, and he's on these pills. Well,
I think it's also
he's just
like
a nut.
medicating children too.
Yeah,
that's like a big thing. Where, and you have to think about the time period too, because they weren't as politically correct with everything back then, and it was just like mental health wasn't taken as seriously, and so again, it's like, okay, we'll just dope this kid up, he'll be fine.
Yep.
It's kind of fucked. But.
Should we get into, hey, what are you trying to say? Where we talk about the themes and ideas, which we've kind of touched on already.
Take it away whenever you're ready.
All right, let me just get that last measurement on your
Thank you. I need this for the wedding.
Okay, well,
I need it really quickly.
It could take about a week to do.
It could take a week? Mm-hmm. So, what are you trying to say? He's trying to say that I'm so big, my bum is so big, you need to order to various countries far away to get enough material to make a pair of pants so I can fit my incredibly obese buttocks into a pair of your specially made little suit.
No, I mean I'm the only one working here this week.
Oh, okay.
If we are saying that Donnie Darko is Jesus, Jim Cunningham is the false prophet. He's like the Pharisee in the town.
He told him that too. He said, "I think you are the fucking Antichrist."
Yeah. And that's like, and the whole thing is kind of a suburban boy power fantasy in a weird way, like a depressed suburban boy power fantasy. In Adventures of Huckleberry Finn? No. What is the other guy? Not Huckleberry Finn, but
Tom Sawyer.
Tom Sawyer. Remember when Tom Sawyer fakes his death just to see like what people would do if he died, what they think about him, what they really think about him? That's kind of what Donnie Darko feels like at the end. Not that Donnie is seeing what people feel like, but he's like finding value in his demise where he didn't seem to find a lot of value in a lot of his life before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's finding value in the fact that majority of the people around him get to continue living and everything like that, but
he's listless, and that's where his purpose is found. Is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But then he also thinks too, like he's doing the work of like a higher power, and I think that's another thing he was like, because that's why he was laughing at the end.
The Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do we think? Hey, philosophical debate. Free will, is it real? Is it fake? Donnie has...
That all depends on if you believe there is a higher power in the first place.
But I think even among the higher power fearing people, there is a debate. Not everybody lands on the same side. If
there's got to be free will, right? I mean, somebody just spazzes out and, massacres a town. I don't think that's any God's will or, divine, predetermined set of life. I mean, some people just fly off the handle, but I think it's more reassuring in life to think that there's free will and that not everything is predetermined. And I mean,
well, if you believe, if it's just like the universe in general, it's so chaotic in that essence, then yes, there is free will because it's sporadic things happening all the time.
Yeah.
I also think we're just a series of like numbers and, equations and just, I don't know. It's just like everything is random and it's just an algorithm, basically.
The cosmic equation. Apparently, the scenes where the like liquid beam is
spewing out of people's chests.
The abyss monster.
The path that is being laid out in front of them, that it is essentially predetermined.
Now, this is something I don't actually understand, but apparently that is based on like a real physical concept that like the journey through time, you're kind of like a spearheaded arrow, like going through time, your person. So apparently it's kind of based on science, but also Richard Kelly said he got the idea when he saw like John Madden diagramming a play on the thing and he was drawing the arrows. And it was like this guy goes this way and this guy and then go boom.
That gives me a great idea for a movie. Donnie Darko.
So I don't know which ones.
We can thank John Madden for Donnie Darko. That's kind of crazy.
Boom.
The Vikings defense kind of look like chairs right now.
And yeah, I think we've already touched on like suburban malaise and like just the way it can really
Bubble society.
Yeah, bubble society and just people kind of peering through it. Because even Donnie's dad kind of agrees with them. He has that one scene where he sits down with them. He's like, you know what you say to those kind of people? Fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
You know, this movie could have been set in Mankato, and there would have been no difference. You know. But the bubble society is like, the Mankato is the first place I ever discovered like a bubble society, where it's like these people are so detached from reality, and it's kind of crazy.
I mean,
because the big games tonight, guys.
That's also college town.
That's college.
Yeah, but I mean, from a person who's never lived in a college town, I've lived in Minneapolis, like South Minneapolis, my entire life, and then going out to Mankato, like that was a culture shock.
Well, that's a culture shock for sure. I mean,
I see what you're saying, but it's also a college town thing, strictly because everybody there knows, like, I'm here for the next 3 years, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you're not, like, and everybody's, like, a young adult that's just, like, been released to society, so everybody's
horny.
Everybody's horny and making weird choices.
Just like this movie.
Just like this movie.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, Mankato is literally Donnie Darko.
Somebody over there at...
Dakota, you used to be Donnie, dude.
Nah.
You kind of got the Jake Gyllenhaal face going on there, buddy.
No, man, it's Tom Cruise.
Except
young Tom
Jake
Cruise.
Gyllenhaal would be wearing a dashiki.
And a bongo drum necklace.
And fucking smashing cans into his head and stuff.
Oh, the glory days.
If only Donnie went to college. R.I.P. Donnie.
If only he made it. R.I.P. Donnie.
21. What is it, the 21 Club?
27.
27 Club. Everybody's dying before that now. So
Yup.
It's the 21 Club.
The very like final moment is Donnie's girlfriend, Gretchen, looking at Donnie's mom and meeting eyes at the sight of the now deceased Donnie post the engine dropping on his house, and they kind of meet eyes. Does that mean something?
They give a light wave, and I mean, so my girlfriend actually made a pretty good point about this. Was kind of saying like, in one of like the flash images of the passages, it was kind of saying like some people will recall this stuff as like a dream, and other like the past of what happened and stuff. So it was almost like they were looking at each other like, "Fuck, do I know you? Like, why does it?" It's kind of like a deja vu thing where you're like, "Wait a minute." Like, I feel like I know you, but I don't.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be a moment of deja vu where they have recognition but don't really know why.
Yep.
You ever just thought about like time? Time is freaky, but it's also like a man-made thing. There's really no concept of time anywhere else in the universe.
I mean, time is a force of the universe. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but the concept of like time, how we rely on it so much, like that's strictly a human thing.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But also, I mean, with death and time being a finite resource, I think it's you gotta have it. You gotta know what time of day it is. You gotta know what month it is, what year it is, all that kind of jazz.
That's true.
There's got to be some.
It gives you
sort
some type
something.
of sanity.
Exactly. Because if we were all just doing whatever, no clocks or anything. Oh, sun come up, sun go down. We're all just doing whatever. I think it'd just be hell.
Yeah, you need some kind of order.
It'd be like how meth heads live the world. You know? Like,
yeah,
what is time?
just like never sleeping.
Yep, they don't know what happened 3 days ago, or where they've been.
That is hell. This is some high ass talk right here, guys.
Yeah. Let me pass the J. All right. Should we get to not our final question. Hey, let the hate flow through you. This is where we air out our annoyances and complaints.
Good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
This movie sucked.
It does kind of suck. Like, I think I was having some nostalgic moments during it where I was watching it. I'm like, I love it. This is funny. And then, like I said, halfway through, I remembered the ending, and I'm like, this is kind of stupid.
Well, Michael, you kind of hit on the nose earlier. It's really up its own ass. It's very pretentious.
Yeah.
And
it insists upon itself.
Yeah. I think maybe if I was an incel bro or like a middle schooler again, I would be more compelled. But it was.
It'd be like, this is the greatest movie. You have to watch it.
Donnie Darko, man, he was really the hero we all deserved.
I don't think it's trash, but I think it's definitely a time capsule to when like having suburban angst was more relatable, or like you can't just look at them and be like, actually, you have bigger fucking problems.
Yeah, I guess the movie itself isn't really like an ass movie, but it's just not like a good movie.
I think it's very
like it's good, but it isn't. I don't know. It's
okay,
just,
can you imagine if this movie was made today?
I wouldn't go and see it.
So, it would get one. Donnie would be black. Okay.
Maybe queer. They, them, and them.
Yeah, maybe.
Justice Smith is Donnie Darko.
Juicy Smollett is Donnie Darko.
But then they'd have to change the last name too.
No, that's true.
Honestly,
Donnie Blacko.
I saw the TV Glow is kind of like
Donnie
Darko for being gay and black, or trans and black, I suppose.
It's too woke for me.
It's Hollywood's agenda. It's what they want.
Jake Gyllenhaal is the perfect white male.
No, wait. Jake Gyllenhaal is the perfect white male.
He's Jesus. White Jesus.
So I just think it's not like, it just feels like wrong time. Like I don't relate to, I actually do somewhat relate to Donnie's plight, but I am also like get some bigger fucking problems for a lot of his like suburban issues, you know.
Yeah, it's like if he could just grit his teeth a little bit and put up with this shit for like 1 or 2 more years, he'd be out of that damn town.
Yeah.
It's like,
I have an idea for a sequel, The Cult of Donnie Darko, where it's like a bunch of people are contacted by the entity, and it's all like, they're doomsday prophets and stuff.
It feels like this movie could have easily, like, how the Joker movie in our peak culture war online society was like, this is an evil movie. It's going to give school shooters a manifesto,
Yeah.
And then that's what they would say about Donnie Darko.
Oh, I mean,
if it released in 2024.
They'd be like, what are you doing keeping guns in your closet, not locked up where your kids can get them?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you said, like, this came out shortly after Columbine, and it's like, it definitely gives those vibes of, like, Donnie could just roll up to the school with a shotty.
It is that same fantasy, because he burns his school, or he floods his school.
Floods his school, burns a house. He burned a house before all of this.
Yeah.
Also phenomenal, where he's like, I can't drive until I'm 21, but I'm over that.
So is it really like a social commentary about, like, okay, get your kids help, like real help, kind of thing?
I don't know. I think his parents are trying to do their best.
I think the parents care for him, but I mean, I don't think in any way they're doing all they can.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they had like 2 conversations with the guy actually about his mental health, and the rest of it was like, well, do you need anything, you can talk to your therapist. Oh, don't forget your pills.
Yeah.
Like,
but not like strictly like keeping him accountable or like being more proactive, that kind of thing. There's better ways to go about it, I guess.
Okay, should we ask our final question? Is this a perfect movie?
He lost a baby brother. Perfect in every way. I had a baby brother. I had a little baby brother, and he was perfect. Perfect in every way.
hell no. Far from it.
No.
It's a good watch. The director's cut being 2 hours and 15 minutes does feel a little prolonged.
Does it have interesting concepts? Yes.
Sure.
Does it have good actors?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it have great moments?
Yeah. It's definitely like a cult classic.
Mhm.
It's definitely like one of those, like the definition of like a cult classic.
I'd say definitely watch it once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those that you can put on a shelf, maybe come back to it 5 years down the line, and you're like, oh, yeah.
So I think
I remember that.
I think there is like a genre for these types of films where it's like when we were younger, we would have thought this was cool.
Yeah.
Like there's Drive, like even the new Joker movie. It's like that incel kind of stuff, and it falls in that same kind of category. It just doesn't hit the same.
Incel
Because now I'm
slash-
older. I'm not as sad as I used to be. I really don't give a fuck anymore. You know? Yeah.
Incel / teenage angst.
Yeah. And then that suburban angst.
Yeah.
Which I never related to. Even Michael, I don't think you related to.
I'm not that suburban.
No.
I think I'm the most suburban here.
For sure.
Prior Lake?
No, Richfield.
Richfield
That's
is the slums. What are you talking about? That is the trap, for real.
Not compared to DC.
Or North Side, man. But, I mean, hey, it just doesn't do it for me.
You know what? I'd highly recommend bringing up the soundtrack on your Spotify or Apple TV or Apple Music and listening to the soundtrack if you're feeling a little depressed.
Yeah,
it is great.
Yeah, it's good.
Uplifting, high energy soundtrack, which contrasts very well with the themes of the movie. Still not a perfect movie.
Okay. Are we done here?
Unless
Do we
you
have
guys
anything else we want to talk
about? Dakota, this is your third episode with us?
2.5.
2.
Oh,
2.5.
Remember Gods of Egypt?
Remember Gods of Egypt? Remember Scarface?
Horrible.
You did Scarface with us. Yes, you did.
Unusable.
That'll never see the light of day.
Unusable. Tell you what, Drew Barrymore in this movie, hot.
Good. Glad we got there.
That's the takeaway. That's the answer to the question that Donnie Darko has been asking since 2001.
Is Drew Barrymore hot?
Well, she was hot enough stuff to get this movie made. Congratulations, Drew Barrymore. Good job.
Doesn't she host a talk show now?
Probably. Isn't that like what every failed actor does, or like retired actor? They just have a talk show or a podcast.
Go and talk to other rich, successful people to make them continue to be
rich and
You know
successful.
what's the saddest post-acting career is the people that do like recap shows of their own shows that they acted in.
All the Office actors do.
That's also what Zach Bagans does in Ghost Adventures. Yeah, they have a thing called the Screaming Room, and they just rewatch old episodes of Ghost Adventures and commentate on it again.
Zach Bagans also has other stuff going on. He's got the Haunted Museum. He has another show that just came out on HBO.
Destinations of the Damned or something.
I was watching that this morning. It's Zach Bagans. He's a cultural phenomenon. He is amazing.
A powerhouse.
Actually, I'd like to amend my statement from earlier. Zach Bagans, the greatest white male alive.
I saw a ghost when I was 9.
There are things in this world we will never fully understand. Understand. We want answers.
Here are our ghost ventures. And then the little hand comes out. This is so spoopy. I'm so scared. Scared.
Bye.
There are things in this world that we will never fully understand. We want answers. We have worked years to build our credibility, our reputation, working alongside the most renowned professionals in the field, capturing groundbreaking proof of the paranormal.
It's working!
I can't give you an explanation. This is our evidence, our ghost adventures.